The topic today is XR and conflict or anything else that comes along. I think we're going to probably be it's usually about an hour and a half in these circles, in these breakout rooms. And we can do 5-minute turns just to make sure that everybody gets involved. But if we want, you can change those rules. And when you'll hear my little bell go off. It's a blues riff. Some people don't like it. I do. Or I'll show that, and it's a soft close. And that means, finish up your last thoughts, and, you might need to have a reflection as well. That's fine. So anyway, is there anybody who would like to start speaking? No? No? Okay.
I'll start.
Great. All right, Grace, who would you like to speak to?
I would like to hear Michelle.
Great. Okay. All right.
Okay. So I'm feeling sort of like I'm not really in the right group again. And I often feel that when I come on to the XR empathy groups. I'll just stop there.
Okay, thank you, Grace. I hear you say that you're feeling like you've come into the wrong group, and that this isn't the first time that you felt that way.
Right. There was one time that I felt like, I'm really not sure I want to be part of XR. But there was one group I sort of stumbled into where they were learning how to speak this way and help just really be heard. And I thought, that's maybe the stepping place for me. And I haven't yet been able to find that group again. So I guess I'm wondering and also if anybody can point me to that group, maybe Bill. So yeah.
I have to make notes, so I apologize if I seem so choppy here. So it sounds like you're saying that you're not sure about being a part of this group or this place here, or about XR, I think it was actually, and that you're sort of learning about how this works in regards to an empathy circle and talking to each other and kind of perhaps opening up that vulnerability barrier, and that you're hoping that perhaps Bill or someone can get you routed into a place that you had found a spot where you were able to do that. Did I reflect correctly?
Yeah, thanks. I think you got it, Michelle. I'm not sure about the vulnerable part. It's like I want to be vulnerable. I want to learn the skills a little bit better than just my being a human being has afforded me. And so I want to be able to find an avenue for that. And also there is something about XR that pulls me. But so anyway, I guess that's it. If you just want to reflect that last part, and then that would be okay.
Okay. So it's not so much that you're feeling the vulnerable side of it. It's more about wanting to sort of go beyond your, what you've gained as just being a human in your life travels from point A to where you are here, and kind of going further with that. I don't know if I captured that totally, so you might have to correct me on that.
Yeah, just one little thing. The years I've spent here in terms of being empathetic, or what I imagine the operational definition is something that we might all hold differently, and maybe we don't have one. And I kind of want to find a place where I can address that and learn those kinds of skills, and then take that wherever I go, whether it's XR or wherever. And that's why I'm not sure this particular group, it's always based within XR, is really the place for me. So I've taken enough time. I think I'm okay with you hearing me thank you, and I feel heard.
I'm just going to reflect that
great.
you feel heard, and that you're hoping to be able to take the empathy skills, learn them, and be able to put them beyond XR into your own world. Like,
Okay.
And I just want to say that this isn't a contest. So just, if you need to take notes, if you need to stop often, it's about building bridges of understanding. And so the fact that you're really doing due diligence is just really exactly what I think the world needs today. So thank you for your efforts, and don't worry about it. Any kind of thing or modification to help build that bridge, I'm all for. All right, your turn, Michelle. Who would you like to speak to?
Oh gosh, I guess I'll speak to, is it Nellie? Did I say your name correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know really where to start or what to say exactly. I kind of came here, I watched a 2-hour empathy circle with Rupert Reed and Edwin and oh gosh, I can't remember the names of the other 2 gals. And it was my first real experience with it, and it was such a profound, wow, this is how it's done moment. And so that's, I guess, what kind of brought me here. We'll see how it unfolds for me. I'll stop there.
Okay. So it's your first time you're really in an empathy circle, and you have experienced, you have found this that this is something interesting because you have watched the empathy circle recording of Rupert Reed and Edwin Rudge and the others. I also don't recall the names. Martha and yeah, and I've started to watch a bit of it. Sorry. No. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that all you want, or did I forget something?
No, you pretty much captured it. The only piece perhaps is just that I just don't really know what to bring here. There's I guess in one sense so much to unpack, but at the same time I feel a sense of caution in that because of the vulnerability and the heartache and the pain that I went through in some of the experiences I've had in XR.
Okay. So I hear you say that you're not sure what you really want to bring to this circle, and that you have experienced some painful situations within your work in XR, and you're not sure how much of this you want to bring to this place. Is that capture you mean?
Yes, I think it captured it well. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna, I don't know how, I think I'm good. I think I'll pass my time on to Nellie.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's fine. Sure. Okay, Nellie, it's your turn. Who would you like to speak to?
I will speak to you, Bill, if that's okay.
I'll be happy to listen.
Okay. I'm coming here today to propose an extension of the empathy circle practice. And I've yeah, the extension is that there could be a group of people who are in some way related to the empathy circle, and they connect. They have share a common means to connect, like email or a messenger group or something like this.
Okay. So we're connecting with us about proposing an extension to the empathy circle, and it would involve networking over email or something else to basically create small empathy circles as needed. I read your, I'm sorry, but I shouldn't do this, but I read your email. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Yes, that I really experienced empathy circle as very valuable, and I've learned a lot here, and I put it into my personal life, my personal contacts, my father and everyone else. But it's very difficult for me to find 2 hours time slots. I have a little baby, so it's not so easy to arrange a babysitter and everything.
Okay. So you've, I'm sorry, you're kind of frozen, so I don't know if you're still speaking or not.
So I haven't been able to.
Okay, so you're breaking up now. Can you hear me?
Can,
okay, I can reflect?
mm-hmm.
Okay. So you found that the principles of the empathy circle and
it's a bit broke.
I'm sorry. Okay. So you thought that the principles of the empathy circle were valuable and you had a really good experience and you've tried to apply it into your regular life, but as a new mother, it's very hard to find a 2-hour slot without, having to caretake. And so therefore, you're looking for different ways to use or express or to do the empathy circle or how you can apply it.
And I have learned, even before I joined XR, I've learned from Dominic Barter, and he is in contact with Mihi Kashtan, an idea of a support system, and this is what I want to propose for this group of people here as well.
Okay. So you've talked to Dominic Barta, who is the architect of restorative justice. It's being used in the schools here a lot as an alternative to suspension. Sorry, that's also bad. So then you want to then and he's supported this idea. Sorry.
Yeah. The idea is to form a group of people, and then if you want to, in the empathy circle we have the roles speaker and listener, and then the silent witnesses. And in the system which I'm using, I've been using for 8 months now. There's the speaker, just the speaker and the listener. And they get matched by if someone feels like he wants to share something because he doesn't have clarity, or because he's so excited about an idea and wants to share it, or anything, or he has had a painful experience, then he puts out a request to the group that he wants to share something, and then depending on what the other people in the group are doing, maybe one of them has the possibility to listen to this person for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then maybe several persons say, yes, I'm fine, I can listen to you. And then the speaker, the one who wants to share something, he or she can select one of those people, and there's a good it's a good way to ask your gut who to speak with, and then you can just talk for a short time like you do in empathy circle, and then and the other person reflects what you're saying, and then this interaction is this match is finished.
Okay. So you were describing what you were, what you're doing or what you'd like to see. And that's essentially, again, a network of people through email or phone or contact or messenger. In some way, someone needs empathy. And so then they reach out into that network and they find someone who's ready to listen to them. And then they can listen. And the difference is that it's a dyad or two people rather than more. So therefore, they give listening for like 10 minutes or whatever it needs. And so that goes, and that's the basics of the way it works. Did I miss anything important, Nellie?
No, that's great.
Okay.
That's fine. My time should be
just about up. Yeah, you're very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Good.
All right. Very good. Okay. All right. Grace, will you listen to me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. So my head's full of a lot of stuff. It usually is. And so I'll try to respond to various things. And I hope that I'm coherent. I'll stop there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're full of a lot of ideas, and
Mhm.
this is a familiar feeling for you,
Mhm.
and you're hoping it's coherent.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Okay. So I'll respond to you and about your, the empathy tends, these are in affiliation with XR, but the empathy tent is also has been in existence before XR and is a standalone organization as well, small though we may be. And so when you, said your question, there's several things that came to mind. One is as part of, I am taking some XR trainings and stuff, which has just been, really interesting. And so one thing you can do is that in the XR kind of organization, you can go to a group of representatives and ask for a mandate. And so what you might do is create the organization that you want. And then so that's just one option. So that's the other thing. If you don't find what you want, if you say, okay, I'd like to do this empathy or whatever, then you can actually create the group that you want.
Can I just stop you right there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sure, go ahead.
That's okay. So what I'm getting is that XR is under the umbrella of Empathy 10, but Empathy 10 was standalone before that. Or Empathy, is that not right?
No. The Empathy 10 was in existence before, and now we're kind of affiliated, and Edwin's a member of XR, and we've done XR things, but it's standalone. It's not, but it's certainly XR is much bigger than the Empathy 10. But also the Empathy tent is its own independent thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And so the other thing is I heard you start to tell me a couple of things that I might be able to get involved with. And the first one was that I can go to XR and ask for a mandate of what I see may be something I might be interested in offering or creating a platform for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then this sort of also addresses Nellie as well, and is that we look at, and Edwin has certainly said this many times, as this process as a basic tool. So it can be used different ways. Like, for instance, when I take the empathy tent to a farmer's market, I do much of what Nellie is talking about. It's random. You can't say, pull 5 people out of a crowd in the fair and say, come over there and, and do it. So it's usually one-to-one. So it can be amended, and we really encourage creativity. I'll stop there.
Okay. So empathy, the empathy idea is the foundation, a functional foundation for bringing empathy out into the world. And you have something that you were talking about that's similar to Nellie's, which is like when you take your tent to the farmer's market, it's basically a one-on-one there. It can't really be a whole group, but
Right.
so it kind of tails onto what Nellie's trying to do with her.
Right. Yeah. And there have been groups, but anyway. So what I think I'll do is that there's just a whole bunch of stuff bubbling up in here. You know about nonviolent communication, which James so eloquently said "F you" to. So there are a lot of different trainings. So, I would encourage you to, check in with this is a basic, thing, and then see what you mold. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do the thing too.
Yeah, so finally what I'm getting is that you're encouraging me by giving me information, and also the tone of your delivery is very, it just seems inviting and encouraging, and like you're smiling at me, and so it feels like you're engaging and you want me to like stay on a path, kind of.
Yeah, I love it when people.
There's a lot of choices.
Yes. Thank you. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Can you just say what you were going to say that I cut you off on? Can you remember what that was?
Well, there's several things I'm thinking about. What Nellie said, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and also Michelle. So you'd have to. So we'll come around there. We'll kind of stick with the process, because I think I would just digress too much and be too unclear to address that. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, well then I'll go.
Yeah.
And I'll pick Nellie. Nellie, will you listen to me, please?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I notice when I'm listening, either as an active or a silent person, especially as an active, when it's my turn to reflect, it's like I feel like I notice I want to rush to words, like get it all in, like make sure I understand you, make sure you think I understand you, or you're heard, and like play the game. I don't want to take notes. It feels like that's kind of phony to do it that way for me. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you. I must say I have a bit trouble to understand you. And I hope but if I get something wrong, please just correct me. Speak up. Yeah. So I hear that it's a very new experience for you. That when you reflect what you have heard. Is this right? Did I get this right? And it's words come to your mind, but you're not sure if maybe you can try again.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I probably wasn't very clear. Yeah, I guess what's sitting with me is like this definition of empathy. I'm wanting to look inside, like, what is that? What is it? First, what is it? And then how am I going to just do a swan dive into a group and just start doing it if I'm not really clear for myself what it is? And I ask myself, well, what is it then? Is it listening with agility? Is it listening with care? Is it not projecting, not wondering about my opinion, but really just holding that person with more than civility, more than decency, but really, really trying to get exactly what it is like to be that person.
Can I try now? I think I understood a bit better. And it's acoustically. It's not that I find it hard to take your meaning, but it's just my headphone is not so. And I think you have a bit. But yeah. So I understood that you're wondering about what empathy means for you, and if this repeating or what you understood from the other person is really comes close to what it means to you, or if it's rather like having a very making a great effort to really understand and feel what the other person has experienced. Better?
Yeah, I'm just trying to listen in between your words and just see how they hit me and see how it feels. And I like the word you used, effort. It's like, this feels like effort for me. This feels like effort. And it's like, what? It doesn't feel like effort out there. Yeah, like just, and maybe it's the words. Maybe for me, it's more, like I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago, I was in a supermarket and this lady was just in the middle of an aisle, sitting on the floor with her back propped up against the soup cans. And people were around her asking her a bunch of questions and she just wasn't talking. And I came down the aisle and I just watched it, and the manager was on the phone. So I just sat down next to her and didn't say a word. I just sat down right next to her with my back against the soup cans. It just felt right. So I just stopped there. This feels really weird too. So I'll just stop there.
So you liked that I said it's an effort to try to empathize with someone, because it feels like this for you when you do it. And then you spoke about an example, and I didn't really catch it, I'm afraid, but what I think I understood was that even if someone is not saying anything, it might feel like he is empathizing with you. Is that right?
5 minutes. Thanks. You know what? I just want to end with saying I just really love the way you and I are trying to do this, and it just feels like I'm kind of connected to you, Nellie.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to me. Okay. Do you want to could you say back what I just said to you at the end there?
What do you want?
The very last thing I said to you.
Last thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I hear that you like the way I'm talking with you and you're talking with me. Even if we don't catch all the words, I don't catch all the words, you feel connected with me. You feel that I get your meaning.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thanks, Nellie.
Okay, great. Then, Michelle, do you want to listen to me? You're still muted.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'd be happy to listen to you.
Okay. So I also enjoyed talking with Grace, and I also experience the listening part and the reflecting part as something which is an effort. It's really, I can see I've taken part in one empathy cafe, and I can see how my face moves and how everything is working. And I also have experienced in my support system, one-to-one talks, I've experienced that when somebody shares something which really makes me think of something within myself, that I really, my body changes its state. I can't breathe, or I'm feeling a bit like the other person, and it's really interesting. Even if I don't say anything,
Thank you, Nellie. It sounds like you're saying that when people talk about a particular issue or something that comes out that and it's connecting with you, you're feeling that connection, it kind of affects you physically. And you commented about enjoying your conversation with Grace, that you felt like a connection. At the same time, I thought you said something about it being sort of an effort at times. So I'll stop there and see if you were heard.
Yeah, it's an effort because it changes my body, and it changes it in a way. If somebody shares something painful, it changes it in a way which puts me back into that painful situation which I've experienced myself. So that's why it's an effort for me. Or maybe it puts me back into a different phase of my life where I have experienced something similar to the person speaking. So.
Okay. So I think I hear you saying that sometimes when somebody is sharing their emotion, you're connecting because it's bringing up some of that emotion in yourself from your personal experiences that you've had, either with family or sort of like a trigger maybe type thing of emotion. Did I hear you?
Yes, and that's why it's an effort to go to that place, to relive those emotions and still stay with the other person in a way, not just start talking about that, but really try to imagine how it is for the other person.
Okay, so it sounds like it's difficult because while you're trying to listen to the other person, there's also things going on inside of you, and so there's kind of a little bit of difficulty there in staying with that other person as you're trying to unpack the emotion that's happening with you.
It's not dividing. I think because the other person maybe experiences something which is quite similar to what I experience, and there is a connection there. But because it's now I'm sitting on a sofa and everything's cool, but now someone tells me about the situation, and suddenly I'm in that situation and I'm reliving it. So it's an effort. I'm suddenly running or suddenly doing something completely different in my brain, only in my brain, but it's an effort. It feels like it physically affects me.
Okay, so it sounds like it physically affects you, and it's also not so much, there's that effort, but also you feel a bond or a connection with the other person. Did I hear you right?
That's okay.
Yeah. Take your time if you really want to, Nellie, if you really want to flesh that out. If you feel comfortable. Okay.
I think I feel comfortable, yeah.
Okay. All right. Michelle, your turn.
This is super challenging for me. I tried to do it without doing notes. I have MS and I have cognitive issues with my memory, and so it's really important to try and resonate with other people, which means that note-taking is a part of that. So I feel that may be perceived as somehow inauthentic, and I guess I didn't ask for a listener, and I would like to ask if Grace would be open to listening to me.
Okay, just I represent the empathy tent and was saying There's not fine. If you want to take notes, we're all for it.
Grace, are you open to listening to me?
Yes.
So I feel like I really bombed on Nellie's on my ability to be empathetic and hear. Empathy has not been a skill that has been natural for me. I've been learning a lot about it recently. In fact, I saw an amazing, I participated in a 3-hour workshop on oppression. And it really helped to sort of see some side of things that the depth, the web of that. And I feel like this, I really want to learn the empathy skills and be able to better understand other people, really listen to them and be able to understand them.
Okay, Michelle, so what I'm getting is that you feel like you bombed with Nellie, and maybe there's a little kick, maybe there's a little feeling bad about that, and that you really do want to learn these skills, learn these empathy skills. And there's something about this article that you read lately that really geared that up for you. It really brought that to light.
Yeah, it was actually a 3-hour workshop that I participated in, and I guess I don't know really why I brought that up, but essentially I just yeah, I'm just wanted to. I just want to learn how to do this.
Yeah, and you wanted me to hear that it was a 3-hour workshop, not an article, and that it was important to you, and that you really want to do this empathy and learning how to really listen and hear other people.
Thank you. Yes, I feel fully heard.
So Michelle, are you finished?
I am.
Okay. Okay. Bill, would you listen to me?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. So, this shock wave went through my body when I heard Michelle say, "Oh, I have MS and it's hard for me to do this without notes," because I had referred to my own note taking as feeling like that was phony for me. So it was like, oh, I heard her. Something I did caused pain over there in Michelle.
Mm-hmm. So you were reflecting when Michelle had to take notes because of her MS, and then you were taking notes and you were reflecting that you had some judgment around that somehow taking notes is inauthentic or somehow like that. So you were kind of like it feels like you were struggling with that.
Right, and what the main thing was is that I maybe would have done something that might have triggered a pain for Michelle.
Oh, right, and then inadvertently you might have mentioned something about that would have brought Michelle pain.
Right. Yeah. It's hard being human. Damn, it's hard.
It's hard to be human.
Yeah. Right. And then I fucked up my listening with you, Michelle, because I'm bound and determined not to do notes. You know, if I would have just taken a few notes, but how authentic would that have been? So here I am trying to figure out what is it, what's the, like, what are the limits of my own empathy? What are the limits of my own being able to listen? And how do I know when I'm approaching those limits? And yeah.
So I can feel a great deal of emotional weight as you're experiencing. There's a lot that's not being said here, that's being felt. So I want to acknowledge that. And then you were thinking that you had like a goal for yourself not to take notes. So if you mentioned that, that might hurt Michelle. And then you're saying, okay, and that brings you to the point of like, I don't, you know, what's the limit of empathy? How should I proceed? Who am I? I want to be a good person or something like that, but I mess up. Or you actually said fucked up. Okay.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, and I noticed I really wanted you to get that 100%.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong.
And you only got it 90%.
Okay.
90%, oh my God. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
good.
Well, let's work on the 10%.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the 10% is.
So you're not sure exactly about that 10%.
Right, I'm not sure. Yeah, I maybe I'm a little like, you were right when you said that there's some emotional stuff going on that wasn't worded, but that you can actually see it. It's pretty easy to see. But I was a little irritated at you for doing that because this is on record and I don't want to cry.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you acknowledge that the emotional weight that I was referring to is there, but you're annoyed because you didn't want to go deeper and this is on record. We didn't want to cry or cry on recording. So you're annoyed at me just mentioning it.
Yeah. Something like that. So anyway, I'll just get off of that and tell that story I was telling about in the market. So I sat down next to this lady who was, I don't know what she was doing. She just wasn't having a good time. And so anyway, I sat right down next to her and I didn't say anything. I just sat there with her. And she put her hand on my knee and I just looked at her and we just looked at each other. And then she got up and she walked down the aisle. We walked down the aisle together. Security had come, they were ready to throw her out with her. And I thought, wow, maybe it's just so easy.
So to wrap up the story about the woman in the supermarket, you sat down right next to her and you kind of mirrored her, you just sat down in silence. And then as you sat with her, she put her hand on your knee and then got up and walked out and, you know, was prepared to be a big deal, but actually it sounds like it resolved quite peacefully and beneficially.
Right. I like what you said about that. I definitely mirrored her. That seemed to be the simplest, easiest, most natural way. And it did sort of put some soothing balm on it. So thanks, Bill.
Sure. Okay. So then that you like the soothing balm.
Right.
Okay. All right. Michelle, would you like to listen to me?
I will listen.
Okay. Okay, so the first thing I'll talk about, you know, just over the note-taking and inauthenticity. There's no inauthenticity in anything that people do. It's the intent. This is my belief. It's the intent that's behind it. So if you need, you know, notes, take notes. I certainly took care of both my mother and father in their final years. And, you know, my mother needed a walker, she couldn't hear as well and things like that. And I was just all in support of using whatever you need to be comfortable and happy. And what I found when she did use something like, for instance, a hearing aid, so she could be involved in conversations, I really enjoyed her a lot more. And she felt better and I felt better. So whatever way you go, it's okay with me. I'll stop there.
Thank you. So you just wanted to reiterate to me, that it's about the intent of trying to be empathetic or whatever tools are needed for me to be able to do that. And equated it to when you cared for your parents when they were getting older in the later stages of their life, and how your mom needed a walker to have the mobility. Without that, she wouldn't have had the mobility, and so while it was a tool, it still was authentic in achieving what she needed to do. And same with the hearing aid, that worked for both of you, because now you guys could communicate more effectively. So essentially, that tools are not necessarily a bad thing, and that I not feel bad about using those tools.
Not only that, but that was a really detailed, excellent, focused reflection. You can reflect that.
Thank you. It was a really deep and focused reflection that I...
Yeah. So, and the group's better for it, I think. So, and the next thing was about, I've done some martial arts. And so, one of the things we would do is that you would be moving your hands. And inevitably, there's meaning in whether you're moving them, clockwise or counterclockwise. If you greet someone, I think it's like with the left hand over, it means you're a friend. If it's the right hand over, it's a fight. And then, of course, if you forget, and nobody had a fight over it or anything like that, but, so people were asking about this question, am I doing it the right way? And the Tai Chi master came over and said, you're not going to explode. So I'll stop there.
Okay, so you were relaying essentially through your experience with martial arts in sort of saying that, one hand over the other could be represented in one light and the other hand over the other in a completely different light. And then when there was some concern about, am I getting it right, the martial arts instructor said, well, essentially regardless, it's not going to kill you.
Right. And that was exactly the attitude. I hope that with an XR and certainly the empathy tent, that sort of attitude should reign. Acceptance, I call it. The other thing, and then I want to respond to Nellie about mirroring and then pain, and just sort of my experience, because as you do these circles, you just kind of the effort becomes less as you just kind of become more familiar with it. And the other thing is, I liken it, this practice, to sort of like the difference between, like, if you cover your eye, you have 2D vision. But if you open, now I have 3D vision. So it looks the same, but you're losing depth perception when you cover your eye. And that's what, there's something that's going on here that's beneath the conversation that is very important. And that this is the beginning of that uncovering. And that's my time.
Okay, and I'm okay to reflect?
Oh, absolutely.
there's kind of part of it is part of acceptance is kind of an attitude almost. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But you also wanted to reflect with Nellie in regards to the mirroring of pain or emotion, and that additionally that the effort to do this kind of empathetic listening and replying gets easier with time and experience, kind of equating it to the monovision, where you lose that sense of depth. You still see, but the depth of it perhaps isn't there, whereas with two vision it is.
Thank you, Michelle. I feel very heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does that mean it's my turn?
Yes, it is.
So I guess Nellie, I'll ask you if you're interested in being my listener.
Yes, please.
I'm looking forward to it because you seem to have a bit of a knack for relating, which is good. And I want to speak to Grace a little bit in regards to the writing down of things, and it really helped me to understand that she was criticizing herself more than me, and perhaps I misunderstood her, but that's what it sounded like, and it made me feel a little better. And I feel badly for any pain that I have brought to her in explaining my need to have to write things down.
Can I start? Yeah. So I hear you express your pain and about that Grace felt. It's several steps. So you perceived the situation that you were writing down things, and then Grace said, writing down things is bad. And then you felt pain because you had at first you had the impression that it was meant for you, this comment, and then when she spoke later, you realized that she was criticizing herself, and that now she's in pain because you felt like she meant to criticize you, and so yeah, you're happy that the whole thing resolved, and you're sad that it caused pain for her.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. And also I wanted to just put the plug in that I'm looking forward to having you listen to me.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, sure. I didn't say that. Yeah. So you feel you're in good hands with me. I'm confident that I will hear you.
Yes, and I really resonated with Grace when she was saying about not wanting to cry, because I was almost there myself, and I feel very much that way as well. And so I guess I'll just let you reflect that for now.
So you feel you really don't want to be seen so vulnerable in this recording, like being crying.
Yes. And I was really moved with Grace's story about the person in the shopping mall. and amazed and, hope that I would learn from that and do the same thing, because it wouldn't be natural. And it just felt like Grace was saying, just seemed like the right thing to do. And to me, that is just like, wow, that's like just amazing that she could just do that, with, everybody around, and kind of, looking at the person in a way that is, oh my gosh, and putting herself in that vulnerable position of being down there with them, to me, that just screams empathy beyond, anything that I feel I'm capable of.
So, I still didn't understand the story, but what I get from you is that that you are deeply impressed by what Grace was able to do for that person in the supermarket, and that you wish you could do that as well, and that it's a powerful and courageous thing to do. Yeah, showing herself vulnerable, or doing something which is out of the line. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thanks. And I'll just interrupt for 1 minute, because I, as a passive listener, I've heard some things, and that people are getting, wanting to go deeper, but feeling hampered by the recording. So the empathy, this is a tool. And if the group feels that they want to stop recording, then I will stop recording if that's something that you would feel more comfortable with. Any feedback on that? Or is it just, the moment has passed?
It was really strong for me. I almost asked you to please stop the recording. And
Okay.
now, as I'm speaking, I kind of want you to stop the recording again. But
Okay.
that's one voice.
Right. Okay. Michelle?
I feel very much like Grace does, but at the same time, I feel like also, my sort of, okay, just, do it is perhaps it would be helpful for others. But so, I would support Grace with the wish to stop the recording.
Okay. Nellie, what's your opinion?
I'm a bit sad, because I wanted to bring the idea of my support group to this, within the recording, so others can learn about that. But
Okay.
I see that I think I have shared something about it, so that is probably enough. And yeah.
All right. So let me reflect, if I understand. You're saying that you were disappointed about stopping the recording because you wish to share some of the recording with your friends for educational purposes, but you really see, you accept and you're okay, and you think you got enough of what you got done. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. You're okay? Okay. We generally support the recordings for educational purposes. That is that. But I support, I think, Michelle and Grace, and also Carolina, another one of our core members, talked about stopping the recording. So if it's okay with everybody, this is for the video, why I'm going to stop the recording right now. And then we can, yeah, Grace?
Okay, I don't know if it's okay with me now, because what I heard Michelle saying is that she'd like to just do this and let it be out there, and I'm sort of sitting on the fence, so I'm okay with it not stopping.
Okay, so Michelle, let's check in with you again. How are you? Did Grace reflect what you were saying correctly? She did.
Yes. Essentially,
Okay.
I just feel others would benefit, and put myself and be vulnerable in trying to achieve that.
Okay, great. All right, so just we'll state that if, first of all, if at some point you want me to stop the recording and you find yourself in something, I will do it. This is a tool. It's not a dogma. And so it's meant to be helpful to people. And so that means that a tool can be flexible. But we'll continue the recording. Just that we'll do it for now. Okay. I'm sorry. And we left off with Nellie. Nellie is speaking. I'm sorry for taking so much time, but I thought it was important.
That's important, yes.
Okay.
And also we can decide afterwards to not put up the video.
That has been done
also.
too. Yes, if you really feel that you shared something and you don't want that to be made public, we can do that. This is saved to my computer and I upload it to Edwin, and so that's a possibility as well. All right, Nellie, you're on.
So, Grace, will you listen to me?
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
I'm grateful for you and for Michelle to try to, and to let this become a place where people can can.
I lost that last part. It kind of glitched in, but basically you're grateful for Michelle and I to want to have this be sort of a stretch towards letting people in, and maybe it might be some kind of teaching tool for out there.
And then I want to express how sad I was when I heard Michelle saying that she didn't hear me, and it made me sad because I didn't ever expect her to understand this thought within me. It's a complex thought, and I don't think everybody has to understand what the other person says. It's maybe if it's not so easy to understand yet. Maybe at some time in the future she will resonate with that, but not now. And I'm absolutely happy if she doesn't.
Yeah. So you were trying to get a complex thought across. It's something about you was happening in your body when this other person would speak, and you were sad that you don't feel like she got it. She understood it. You were sad when you thought she didn't get it. That's wrong.
No. She thought she didn't get it. Maybe she did get it, but I was always extending and trying to phrase it more exactly, and she got the impression that she didn't understand what I was wanting to say. And this made her feel pain because she really wanted to understand me and
Yeah, so it wasn't that you thought she didn't get it, but it was more that you were sad that she felt like she didn't get it, and that made her pain. That pained her. Yeah.
And what is different in my support system to this is that people who are the listeners are really feeling very relaxed. Maybe I'm a listener often when I'm going on a walk with my baby and my baby is asleep and I'm out in the nature and everything's very beautiful and I'm very calm inside and I'm very confident, and all these things are not valid for Michelle right now. She's on the first time on a recorded call and I don't think she's feeling so comfortable. So it's much more difficult in this position to understand complex thoughts than if you're very relaxed.
So there's still a concern about Michelle being on the call for the first time and maybe not feeling like she's getting everything or getting getting it right or something. It's not relaxed for her, and or you feel like it might not be relaxed for her, and you're sad about that for her.
Yeah, I believe it's I would never expect her to understand what if I share something complicated, because she's under stress, and people under stress don't understand so well as people who are relaxed. That's what I found.
Okay, so it's your idea that she you don't really expect her or anyone to really fully understand if they're under stress, and you kind of see her as under stress. Is that right?
And yes, I'm fine with trying to understand, and that's all I do as well. That's all I tried to do with you, because I didn't understand what you were saying. So that's yeah, and that's fine for me.
Yeah, so it's the trying that's really important for you. It's the trying to really understand and get it. It's the intention that's really important to you.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you feel heard, Nellie, that last part?
Yes, that's
okay.
Fine.
Great.
That's good.
Okay, wow, my turn. I guess I'll talk to Bill.
Okay, I'm listening.
Bill, I appreciate you. I appreciate the way you're facilitating this group, the way you're sort of kind of toggling between helping teach, helping hold, helping manage the mechanics of it, and keeping as you're doing that, it feels like to me that you're keeping sort of a lightness, a sort of a humorous, light touch of levity. I have my hand here because it's like, oh, yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you appreciate the way I'm facilitating, and I'm doing it with a lightness and a sense of humor.
Right. And I also appreciate Nellie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a lot of appreciation and gratitude for you guys right now, so I'm just going to go around. Yeah, Nellie, I love that smile and the willingness to to engage with me when I was listening to you. Well, no, not that, this, that, and the other, until I got it. And just to stay with wanting me to really hear you and not just passing by. Oh, yeah, you got it. No, that feels good.
So you love Nellie's smile and her listening, and really going. My sense is deeper with Nellie, and really that that connection. Both of you are staying with it.
Right.
Something? Okay.
No,
yeah.
no, that was right. I was right. It was interesting though, as I was listening to you reflecting back, it's almost like I was almost like expecting Nellie to reflect back, because I was so talking to you, Nellie, and then, oh yeah, right, Bill, you're listening to me. So yeah, it's weird.
So there's a little cognitive dissonance between talking to Nellie and then this process where I'm actually the one reflecting.
Exactly, this damn process has got me twirled around. Right. And Michelle, I feel like I've known you forever. See there, now I'm talking to Michelle again. I gotta talk. Okay, Bill, I really feel like Michelle in the room is what you said, like everyone is adding to this group. And Michelle has added a lot to this group for me.
Okay, so you wanted to express your appreciation to Michelle. You're having a little bit of that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
That Michelle is that everybody's adding something, so you're feeling appreciation.
Right. It was real easy to talk to you first because you were my listener, but these other two, I'm playing with this process, and it's kind of irritating that I have to talk to you, or that the process says talk to Bill, when I really want to talk to those two and hear from them. So yeah, it's a cognitive like little blip.
Mm-hmm. So you're feeling for some frustration as when you're actually addressing Michelle or Nellie that you have to talk to me. So you're having a little bit of irritation at the process.
Yeah. And when you say you have to talk to me, there's like both this, oh, but I get to talk to you, Bill, because I love the way you're reflecting with me. And then there's also that, oh, but I have to because here comes the rope of the process to lasso around my neck and pull my attention back to you.
Right. So it's nothing personal. You appreciate the way I reflect, but nevertheless, the process feels like limiting to you.
Right. Right. Yeah. So after the last time I was with you guys, with you, Bill, I came away thinking maybe I'll dust off my teaching credential and go back into the school and do empathy circles or even substitute and hope that the teachers don't leave lesson plans. That'd be the best scenario. So anyway, that was kind of an impetus that I got from your last circle. Was like, what can I do? What would I want to do? And that's kind of exciting for me to think about that.
Okay. So after the last empathy circle, you were thinking about how you might employ it, and you were thinking that about dusting off your teaching credential and bringing it back and bringing that technique into the schools.
Right, and hoping that the substitute, if I sub and start with subbing, the teacher doesn't leave a lesson plan.
Right. So, and hopefully there's no lesson plan, so you can, introduce this concept.
Play the game. Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Sure. Nellie, would you listen to me?
Sure.
Okay. So I have to say that I'm a little verklempt. In that, which means, touched, the fact that everybody's feeling so good about this. So I'll stop there.
So you're really happy that we are all connecting so well?
Yeah. Yeah. And people,
experience.
Yeah, that people feel enhanced. And that's the thing. I feel, this is my belief, that we're conditioned to feel that when we give over something to somebody else, we're giving something, right? We're giving them our attention. And that somehow if we're giving something away, somehow that feels lessening. But actually what happens is that's an illusion, and that when we're giving someone, we actually receive much more in return, and both parties are enhanced.
So you experience, you're describing that usually in the society or normal life, we are experienced that if we give something, if we support someone, we lose something. And in giving empathy to someone, actually the other person is, you and the other person gain from that. Everyone gains from it. Right.
Now I'm going to pivot to what Grace said about the empathy in schools, which is something that I've been trying to do. And just to give a few tips, because we also have another empathy person who does substitute and tries to do that. And there are various degrees of success in doing it. So it's something I'm still struggling with. And then I'll stop there and then I'll continue.
Okay, so you can relate to what Grace said, that she wants to bring empathy to schools and this practice especially. And you have experience because you're a teacher and you also know someone else, and it's mixed experiences which you have made. Some things run good and some things don't work so well for you.
Yes. And so I'm a retired special education teacher dealing with, so you should know your student level. So when I brought it in there, it was fine. And it worked to the extent that I was able to keep the kids controlled, which generally in my population is a big step just to begin with. But they really didn't get the benefit of the empathy circle in a very short amount of time. So it needs to, so for instance, Nellie, I employed your technique in my presentations of a duo, because a kid with attention deficit disorder would be very hard put to be a passive listener. But as an active listener focused on them, then you really get their attention. I'll stop there.
Okay, so you have you are a retired teacher, but you were teaching children who have had difficulties in the normal school system, and for them to be a passive listener, not speaking and not repeating, is for many of them that's not that easy, and it's much easier for them to, if they have an active part, either as an active listener or a speaker.
Right. So I'm gonna kind of use my last minute here. So just let Grace know that it's something I'm working on. I would be happy to support her on in Orange County. I already have a PowerPoint presentation, what I call listening circles in the school, which I can send, and she could, cannibalize and do whatever you want with it, or we can also collaborate. It's been difficult. And then I also have various ways, because a lot of times you're bringing a new thing for staff to learn, and there's resistance to that. There's a lot of resistance and political resistance. So there are various ways that you can have an empathy tent at recess where you're not putting the staff out, but you're listening to the kids. I'll stop there. My time's up.
Okay. So you would love to share some resources which you have collected and created with Grace, and one of the big challenges also to bring it into the other teachers or headmaster area, and you have also thought of ways how to to interest them or to.
Okay, and just with Grace's permission, I can send Grace. I can send you my contact information.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, go ahead, Nellie.
Okay, Michelle, do you want to listen to me? Please unmute.
I'm listening.
Okay. I want to think about I'm first of all I'm also grateful for how the nice the good vibes I feel from this connection, that you smiling and Grace smiling and both smiling. It's very nice for me.
So you're saying, if I understand, that you're feeling like there's been some connection and some success in this empathy circle.
Yes, some happiness. And then about Bill said something about that it's getting easier, and I also feel that it's getting easier, and part of why it's getting easier for me is that when something when I hear something which is painful for me, because it relates to something in my own life. I can heal this in my own life by talking to someone else, the next person in the support group who has time for me. And then when I'm the speaker and when I express all of the things which are alive for me, then I can, the next time I encounter this, it's not so painful. I still can feel it in my body, but it's not so painful anymore. And that's how it's getting easier too.
So I'm hearing that the good vibes are bringing sort of a sense of happiness in the circle, and that it's getting easier for you personally as well in doing this experience, because it's something that's kind of resonating with your own personal experiences. And as a speaker, on the speaker side of it, so that was kind of on the listening side. On the speaker side, you feel that it's getting easier to sort of express yourself, perhaps some comfort in that.
I want to try to phrase it differently again. Let's say you tell me something which is painful for me, and then I speak to Grace and I express later on. First I reflect you, and then later on I speak to Grace and I tell her what is painful for me. And then the next time someone tells me the same or a similar thing, like you told me, I'm no longer so, it's no longer so difficult for me, so painful, because by telling it to Grace, I digested it better.
Okay, so it sounds like when you hear something and it's, and then you express that, the process of kind of absorbing it and I didn't write it down this time, so I don't know.
I can repeat it if you want. Yeah. Fine. So maybe we stay with the it's really a complicated sauce. Let's say you tell me something painful, and I reflect you. And by reflecting you and by listening to you, there's a pain created inside me. Maybe just reflect that.
Okay, so when I share something that is painful, you feel it inside of you as well.
Yes, and then when it's my turn to speak, I share it with Grace, for example, and while I express what's painful for me, it gets less painful.
Okay, so then when you take that pain and it's your turn to speak, and sharing that out is kind of helping to alleviate that in you.
Mm-hmm. And the next time I'm running into a situation where this pain usually hits me, it's no longer so strong.
Okay, so the next time the pain comes, it's not as intense as it was the first time.
And that's why it's more easy for me to listen to something painful than it's for you. I believe that's the reason, because I've done this for 8 months now. I've shared my pains and you are just starting to begin with this process. And it's really weird, because before I didn't share my pains at all, and I know how it feels, that state, and there's a lot accumulated, and I want to encourage you to find people whom you trust and try to share your pain, and then if you want to learn how to be empathic, try to get rid of your pains, then it's easier because when you listen to someone, it won't hit you so hard.
Okay, so it sounds like you're assuring me that by continuing to practice the empathy and pulling out that pain that's there, that it will get easier. You initially had some difficulties with that as well, and in your experience, just by doing it and practicing it, it has gotten easier to that pain has sort of been healed, so to speak.
It's still there, but it's not driving me in crazy flight mode. I can still keep it, and I often did cry as well. So I think that's a good thing to cry.
So you're reflecting that while it does get easier, it's still there, and that it does bring emotion of sadness and to come out in the way of crying, and that is perfectly normal and fine to experience.
It's helpful. It's helpful. It's clearing, yeah. Joyful even.
And it's joyful even to let it out.
And I believe that we humans are meant to share that pain, because this way the pain can travel to some other people and can create more knowledge about that there's something which is not going right for this person or for a group of persons, and then in the end maybe the pain will reach someone who can do something against it.
Okay, so I hear you say that in sharing it with other people, it opens up the pathways to be able to perhaps tap into people who can experience that and help you through it.
Help, put it away. Yeah, to remove the source of pain. People, it will reach one person who can change their manners, and then the pain is no longer there.
Okay, so by sharing that pain, the other person perhaps didn't know it was there and didn't recognize that, perhaps something they did or said was a cause of that, and so can change their ways through sharing that with you. And so it's sort of a healing process both ways.
And not just between the two persons, but for all the society of all humanity. It travels, because if you tell something painful to me and I tell it to the next person, my own pain, then it travels several people, and it reaches maybe at some point someone who is behaving in a way.
So it's sort of like, when you've, I'll try and create an analogy, but like the neurons in your brain where information travels, along the line, and so the pain and it travels and something's like, oh, it can be fixed by this, and it travels back. So everybody who's involved in that process learns from it.
Yes, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I just wanted to interrupt for a second. So we went over probably double the last time, and that's fine. And the reason I did that, again, I want to say this is a tool, and Nellie wanted to do this for educational purposes. I felt what she was talking about was really germane to that. and because we all support each other, we all support Nellie and her project. I felt it would be okay to to just kind of let Nellie flesh it out. So I hope everybody was okay with that. But that's sort of like how it's used as a tool, not a dogma. Just to kind of highlight that. Okay, Michelle, and also we might be pulled out of here. It's 11:40, so usually we come back for a roundup in about 5 minutes or so. So you'll see something and then it'll pull you back to the room. But I don't necessarily have the timing exactly on that. I'm not in control. I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Bill, would you be okay with being my listener?
I'd be happy to.
So first, I just wanted to thank you for kind of extending the process between Nellie and I, because I was struggling a little bit at first, and the extended time was really beneficial in really allowing me to hear her. So thank you for that. I feel very much like this has benefited me. There was something that Grace had said earlier that I really resonated with, and I didn't write it down because I wasn't the active listener. But in your last, in Grace's last speaking part, what she had said in reference to me was very, thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. So you wanted to let Grace know, show your appreciation that what she said last time about you was touching for you.
Yes, and for yourself as well, Bill, for facilitating the additional time for Nellie and I.
Oh, right. I missed that. Yes, and for me letting the you guys have a additional time. Sure.
I really appreciate just kind of what we went through and how we unpacked, and for Nellie's patience in trying to reword and rephrase to help me understand. That was deeply appreciated as well.
So you really are kind of feeling in gratitude about the process and what it's really, and what everybody brought to it, and specifically Nellie really sticking with you and trying to, really, get what you're talking about.
Yes. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. Michelle, I'll speak back to you.
I will listen.
And I'll probably be interrupted, and that's fine. But first of all, thank you for everybody for supporting my facilitation decisions, and at my best, I think I was listening to you, so I was trying to reflect what I was hearing from the group, and so that's the skill that I'm building. I'll stop there.
I hear you say that you're trying to develop your skill of listening further, and you appreciate and are thankful for support given to you in that aspect as facilitator.
Yeah, and it really came to me that this is a tool, and I think we kind of changed the rules a little bit. We moved here, we moved there, but that's what a good tool is, flexible. It can be used in a number of ways. I'll stop there.
So you're feeling that while there's tools and rules, that there is also the ability to be flexible in that, sort of like, as an analogy, bending with the wind versus being rigid.
Yeah. And this is the beginning. I think this kind of the basis of this dialogue is the beginning of the way we'll need to talk to each other to really address and overcome the challenges that we face.
And do you feel that this is sort of the first steps or the beginning of kind of a transition in how we treat and speak and empathize with each other going forward, and how beneficial that will be for us all?
Okay, and I feel fully heard. I don't know, we're going to have a few minutes, I don't know if, or seconds, if anybody wants to say anything, or we free discussion for like what, a minute and 30 seconds. I don't know how people are feeling. Does anybody want to say anything? No. All right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Don't run away.
I'm not running away anywhere.
Okay. Well, I started this whole 2 hours ago saying, I don't know if this is the right group for me.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling like I was doing this semi-swan dive belly flop into the living room of all of us. Not really wanting to be here. I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I was with all of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I feel the same way, and it just points out to what empathy is and the strength that is within each of us individually, and when we share it, how much greater that is. So thank you all.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Nellie.
Thank you.
Mel.